Looks like it's time for another tier list. How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We're back for another Dokkan Battle video. In today's video, we are taking a look at our Dokkan Fest TUR tier list and making a few updates. It's been about a month since the last time we did an update, so we want to go ahead and fill in the gaps in our tier list from the last time. Since then, we've had several new units, such as Super Easy A Tech Beerus, Easy A Bojack, the brand new Dokkan Fest exclusive Tech Buhan, and the Universe Tree Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Goku from the Dragon Ball Hero Celebration. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to adjust our tier list from there. So normally when people do these tier lists, they will go and they will start from blank and fill in from 10 to 1. But I don't feel like that gives kind of a proper view of what's actually happening as we make these adjustments, right? As I mentioned in my previous video, one of the things that happens a lot with tier lists is people see the 1 through 10 and then they blank out everything else. So I feel like I have a solution to that. Instead of doing that, what we're going to do is we're going to take our tier list that we had from last time, and we're going to move things around to accommodate where the meta is now in December of 2024. So if that's an idea you like, let us know in the comments down below. This is something I'm trying a little bit different than normal. If you'd rather see it the traditional way, let us know in the comments. Now, as always, before we proceed forward, this is strictly my opinion based on my assessment of the following 3 things. Number 1, consistency. And I don't mean can the unit consistently win. I mean, does the unit consistently do what their kit is designed to do, right? So think like a tank, right? Like Beerus. Does Beerus consistently tank what the way he's designed to do? We'll make that assessment. From there, I also look at versatility, right? What teams can the unit be on, and are they hyper specific, or does this unit have a lot of freedom and flexibility to slot into many different teams and perform just as well as it would as if it were on its best team? And then finally, I look at raw power. Raw power can come in one of 2 things. It can come in offense, or it can come in defense, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be some combination of the 2, right? If a unit is designed to be a massive defensive tank, well, how well does the unit do that? And how would it rank as such among the other units like that? Or is the unit an offensive unit? Is it so overwhelmingly powerful that its attack stat eclipses everything else that it's doing, making it a viable option? So those are the 3 things we're going to look at as we make our adjustment. So we're going to start with the oldest unit we have missed, and that is the STR Bojack. All right, this guy was the part 2 Easy A to the Lord Slug Celebration, and he is incredibly powerful. His job is to be a support and then transform into an all-out offensive tank, and he does that pretty well, right? In the first 4 turns before you transform, he can support pretty well. I mean, 50% support to his teams, and then on past turn 4, you can transform him and let him go on an all-out offensive strike, right? We're talking a unit that builds up attack like LR Attack Broly, like Kefla, right? He spins out of control so very quickly with the attack and the amount of attack he's doing. Now, the only thing about that is he's kind of restricted on his teams. He works really well on Slug's team, but he doesn't fulfill Slug's demonic power condition, right? So to fulfill both his conditions and Slug's conditions takes a little bit of adjustment to make it happen, but when you make it happen, He works incredibly well. But in terms of what he's doing, I kind of think he falls in line above Kefla and Gotenks, right around slot number 9. So if I were to adjust this, I would probably move Gotenks and Kefla off the list and drop full power Frieza down. I might even hear an argument to move Kefla up. She's been seeing a lot more use recently. Same with Gotenks. And if we ever get an upcoming Gotenks, that might also adjust Gotenks' placement. But for now, I'm pretty comfortable with this being the new 9 and 10. Bojack, again, fulfills a lot of the same roles that Kefla and Gotenks do in terms of raising the attack and doing a lot of things. So I'm pretty comfortable with him at number 9 and keeping Frieza at number 10. A lot of people sleep on Frieza there, but he's still pretty good in my opinion. Moving on from there, the next new unit we got is the Dokkan Fest Tech Beerus and his Super Easy A. Now, this is a really interesting one because I've mentioned my problems with this guy before, right? Let's talk about his consistency, right? The dude is a tank. His number one job based on his passive is to tank hits. However, he's a bit squishy in the beginning. He's one of those types of units that in order to tank, he's got to get hit to build up. In most events, that's not such a big issue where the units are, where the bosses, they give you a little leeway early on in, medium to longer fights. But fights like Gogeta and Janemba, where the bosses come in out the gate swinging at, 4 million supers, it can be a problem for Beerus, especially if he's not on turn 1, right? So consistency is a little bit lacking. It's nothing that I would give him a negative for, but it is something to be aware of that, if he falls below that 60%, he is a death sentence in most cases. So the consistency is really based on how well you can maintain your HP. In longer events like Goku Frieza, and medium events like, the Gogeta Blue or the Beast Gohan stage, it's not so much a problem. But in shorter fights like Gogeta and Janemba, you can kind of run into the issues there. Versatility. He takes a big hit for me on versatility. He is extremely limited to the categories that he wants to be on. Realm of Gods, movie bosses, Exploding Rage. And what makes matters worse is none of those teams want him on that team. That's my big thing with him, right? Realm of Gods is probably his best option because it gives him access to a lot of Realm of Gods support. Which in turn help him out. It even lets him link with the likes of Vados, which is probably his best option for a link partner on a Realm of Gods team, specifically under the Tech UI Goku. That's probably his best option, especially since he benefits from Tech UI's domain. But, right, movie bosses, Exploding Rage, those teams don't really want him around. Movie bosses especially. The two main movie bosses teams center around the LR and Broly and the STR Slug. Neither one of those teams want him there. He eats up major link slots on those teams, and he is incredibly impacted by their domain. So versatility really takes a hit for me there. But he does get a plus in raw power. When he gets built up, that defense is incredibly defensive, right? We're talking about a unit that far eclipses any other units in terms of defense. So for that, I kind of have to move him. I would probably put him at number 4, which in turn shifts this entire list down. It bumps Frieza out of here, bumps Bojack down, these two down, here, 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 and here. I do think he's better than the Brats, and I do think he's a lot better at what he does than everybody below him. So I'm pretty comfortable putting him at number 4. Up next, we have the Universe Tree Goku, the Dragon Ball Heroes unit. Now, this is a really interesting one because a lot of people wouldn't consider this on a Dokkan Fest tier list, but I do think he's relevant. He is a relevant unit. In terms of consistency, he is probably the most consistent unit here, right? He, on the appropriate setups, he will consistently get his orbs, which means he's going to be consistently getting an attack. And then he's throwing out 15, 16, 17 million supers on average. 17, 18, 19 million supers, right? When you're talking about supported and with the proper link support. On top of it, tanking pretty much every current boss in the game. I think about his only issue would be like a pre-super Goku Frieza, but again, if you're running his setups, you're not putting him slot 1 there anyway, so that's, to me, that's not really a negative on him, right? But he would survive it post-super for sure. In terms of versatility, he does take a little bit of a hit on versatility, like the slug. It's not a major condition. His condition's a little bit easier to fill, especially when the crossover units this year are as good as they are. I have run a Realm of God team on, with him as lead, 2 other crossover units, and then like Tech UI, AGL UI, and it works really well. He has almost no issues there. So, lastly, again, raw power, I did mention, for a TUR, throwing out 3 to 4, 17, 18, 19 million supers is incredibly powerful for a TUR in terms of raw attack. So I would actually put him I would put him just below Tech Beerus in that case. So right at number 5. So again, this bumps our list down a little bit. I do think that Bojack probably is going to stick here for me, which means I'm moving. I would probably just keep these 3 here. Tech Ultimate Gohan, Buhan, and Bojack all in the same place. In fact, I might even move them off. Not Buhan, Tech Exchange Buu. I might actually move Gohan off. Nah, you know what? I would say they're all pretty much interchangeable in this tier, to be completely honest. I would. Heck, even the other 3 in the 10, I would make an argument for any one of these guys in number 10, to be completely honest, because they're all sort of similar in function, whereas these guys are attack, these 2 are defense. So honestly, they're all kind of the same for me. All right, and that brings us to the main new Dokkan Fest, the Dokkan Fest Tech Buhan. This guy is far and away the best TUR released this year. Consistency. You get him on a power absorption team, which is not hard to accomplish given who is actually on the power absorption team with all the buffs, the Easy A Buu, the Int Buu, and all these other units that work well on his team, the Tech Buu. It's just his team is so easy to run. Some of the units might age out a little bit more, but that's not really relevant to a current meta tier list, right? So where he's at now, consistency-wise, he does his job and he does it well. He tanks, he becomes a very, very powerful monster in terms of attack. Remember, once his domain gets up, he gets a 30% boost, and gives, of course, other power absorption allies and extreme Majin Buu allies 30% to his stats. So I mean, that it just crazy powerful what he's doing. And then he builds up that attack. He's launching, over 23 million attacks as a TUR. That's incredibly good. In terms of versatility, he does take a ding for me on versatility due to the fact that, again, that power absorption requirement is a big one for him. It is. He does kind of really need it. Without the access to power absorption rotation, he can't access his domain. And so that more so than the requirement, because like Slug's domain and Broly's domain, well, it's the same as Broly's domain, and I kind of have the same problem with Broly's domain. Like Slug's domain, you just need the 3 on the team. for Buhan and Broly, it has to be on the rotation in order to activate it. So that can end up being a problem. Finally, raw power. As I said, raw power, he's throwing out 23 million attack stats as a TUR. For me, that is incredibly powerful as a TUR. He is incredibly defensive. We're talking 70% damage reduction and guard. He doesn't take much from anyone, including Gogeta and Janemba. And for those reasons, I'm probably going to put him right up here at number 2 next to Slug. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but I already explained my reason for why I want to keep Int Boo at the top. I could see your argument for putting him on number 1, but where Boo takes the cake for me is, of course, due to his versatility, right? Boo, even off lead, can work just about anywhere. His revive into a free usher for a team is probably one of the most powerful skills you can add into game, which is kind of crazy to say if you ask me. So the last adjustment I want to make here to this tier list is in regards to AGL Super Saiyan 3 Goku. I had previously held him and Vegeta in the same tier due to them being two sides of the same coin. Goku mainly focusing on short form content, and Vegeta mostly on long form content. But Goku recently got a tremendous buff into having more access to different Majin Buu Saga allies, like these guys being added to Majin Buu Saga, like this guy being added to Majin Buu Saga. I don't feel like this guy deserves a spot in the top 10 when we factor in easy A's, but I just wanted to point out, like, Goku now having access to him on a Majin Buu Saga team, right, opens both of these guys up to more team options, because they are an incredibly powerful combination. So for that, it actually kind of bumps him up in terms of versatility for me, which to me puts him above Vegeta. So I would actually move Vegeta down here. I do think Vegeta is a little bit more versatile and useful for than Beerus, but again, Beerus is an incredible tank. So honestly, yeah, you know what? Actually, I might just move Goku up here and keep Beerus at Vegeta at 3, because honestly, I do think Vegeta is far more versatile and far more useful on more different teams than Beerus is, which is definitely a leg up for me. But I might just put these 3. I know that's a lot to put in a single tier, especially at the top, but I could see an argument being made for either of the 3. Honestly, even Boo. I have my somewhat bias against Boo, no lie, but given my 3 categories of assessment, I would have to say that I could see an argument for any of these 4, to be completely honest. Now, with that in mind, that is my top 10 tier list. Anyone in these top 10 you can move off or on, and I wouldn't argue with yours. I kind of think that that's where these guys are at. They all sort of serve the same function on their team. Number 9, Roshi's still kind of sitting comfortably there, especially now with having access to Goku and this Goku together, right? It's actually pretty good. Topol, as we showed in our previous Gogeta video, actually incredibly powerful. Definitely didn't put enough respect on his name. Vegeta still comfortably there. Honestly, I could see an argument for swapping these 2, but I'm pretty comfortable with this placement here. Vegeta into the Brats, into Universe Tree Goku at number 5, Beerus at number 4, and then of course our 3, 2, and 1 placements. Now, this list might change in about a week when we get access to these 2 on Easy A's. Actually, they'll be coming in about 2 days, and the list might change. I'm not so sure on paper right now that I would place them anywhere above number 5, but we'd have to see once we're in game and we really get a feel for them. So expect another tier list in about a week once I've had a real good test of these guys. I am considering putting Majin Vegeta's on there somewhere, but I'm not quite sure just yet. And then, of course, we have our drink and the can openers down here at the bottom. They're always going to find their way onto this tier list just because of how fun they are to run, even if it isn't in the top 10. So, guys, that is it for the video. That is our updated tier list for the current Dokkan Fest TURs. If you guys like the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And in the comments down below, let us know what is your current top 10 and how do you like this new model where we sort of adjust the tier list as it was previously rather than starting from scratch each time. I kind of like this idea because it really lets us see how the units are shifting in the ever shifting meta of Dokkan Battle. But let us know what you think in the comments down below. Otherwise, guys, as always, thanks for watching and aloha.